Hey guys, welcome to today's video. We're going to be talking about the Dolphins versus Raiders game and, just what ended up happening. We're going to be breaking it all down in today's video. Before we get started, please drop a quick like and a sub on today's video. Really help my channel grow. Really appreciate that. With that said, let's dive right into the video and I hope you enjoy. So at the end of the day, tough game here, for a Dolphins fan. Really tough loss, losing to the Raiders 31-28. And the Dolphins really had no business in this game. I mean, the first half offensively was absolutely terrible. The offense throughout the game was awful, other than the last 5 or so minutes of the fourth quarter. There weren't really a lot of bright spots. I mean, it was a tough football game. Let's start on the offensive side of the football. I mean, Jacoby Brissett looked okay at times. At times, he had really good pocket presence, really good pocket poise. Stepped up in the pocket, made some nice plays with his legs. Had 8 carries for 37 yards and a touchdown. Malcolm Brown was effective on the ground, 7 carries for 31 yards and also another touchdown. Myles Gaskin, he did some damage on the ground too, 13 carries for 65 yards. But overall, I mean, the running game was okay. Passing, throwing the football, really tough to watch. Really tough to watch. I absolutely love what I saw from Gesicki and Jaylen Waddle. They both came up really clutch. Jaylen Waddle, 12 catches, 58 yards. He always looked like he was around the football. Same with Gesicki, too. Making the most of his opportunities. Devontae Parker, 4 catches, 42 yards. Pretty quiet game for him. Will Fuller looked really out of it. Ball went right through his hands. It could have ended up being a game-winning touchdown in overtime. Tough coverage, but Will Fuller didn't really have that burst. Didn't really have that ability to open up plays, but I really like what I saw from Waddle. He was always around the football. Gesicki was always around the football. And when Brissett had a little bit of time in his pocket, he was making the right decisions, making the right reads, and making the right throws. But at the end of the day, what this offense reminded me a lot of was the offense last year with Tua Tagovailoa, but it was built for Ryan Fitzpatrick. It was a lot of short throws, not a lot of deep shots, not a lot of chances, and there was no offensive rhythm. There was no rhythm whatsoever. It was really tough to watch. But more importantly, the offensive line was horrendous. It was unbearable. I mean, there was not one good game on that offensive line whatsoever. Dieter had snapping problems. Austin Jackson couldn't stop holding. Robert Hunt had a few penalties there. Liam Eichenberg had a false start. It was a mess. The offensive line has continued to be a mess, and it's going to be a massive issue. Last week, I talked about, after the loss to Buffalo, that the offensive line was the number one issue with this football team. In today's game, they were better than they were last week, but they were still horrendous. And when Tua comes back in 3+ weeks, this offensive line has to be better, because if not, Tua's going to get injured again. And it's going to be really tough to watch. So the offensive line was horrendous. I like what I saw from Gaskin. I liked what I saw from Waddle. I mean, really fantastic performance from him. 12 catches, 58 yards. Like, wow, that's really impressive. He was in the check down game, running after the catch, really doing a lot of damage. The only thing I would say is that Jacoby Brissett, the one real mistake I think I saw from him was, it's just sometimes he didn't quite get the ball quick enough, sometimes hung on to it a little bit long. But, the receivers weren't really creating up space, and it was just a really tough game. Defensively, though, for the Dolphins, the number one thing I really liked was Zach Sieler's performance and the defensive line's performance. At times, we couldn't really stop the run, but Christian Wilkins, Jerome Baker, and Zach Sieler were always around the football. They were always getting to it, especially Sieler having a massive 4th down stop. Also, Brandon Jones, he got after the quarterback too. He had 2 sacks in today's game, was flying around the field, did get beaten in coverage to pretty much ice the game, on that big throw from Carr to, I think it was Bryan Edwards downfield. But overall, I mean, those were the highlights of the defense. At times, Xavier Howard looked okay. At times, Byron Jones looked okay. But the secondary got burned. I mean, they did. The speed and size of the Raiders' wide receivers really kept up with this Dolphins secondary, especially the corners. And they didn't really have an answer for Darren Waller, didn't really have an answer for Bryan Edwards. 2 stronger, taller, bigger pass catchers. And it was a tough game for this Dolphins secondary. And then, of course, I mean, the Dolphins would have won the game if Jason Sanders had nailed that 46-yard field goal before halftime. Of course, he's not perfect, and you can't blame a game on a kicker. Obviously, would have liked to have that one back and make it, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, this Dolphins offense was nowhere near where it needs to be. It was not nearly good enough. They were solid running the ball, but throwing the ball, they were not effective whatsoever. Anytime you have Jacoby Brissett throwing the ball 49 times in a game, it's not going to be great. And although they did have a pick 6, that was more of a Derek Carr mistake rather than a Dolphins defensive, really good job there. Elandon Roberts had that, but overall, not a great game from the Dolphins whatsoever. For the Raiders, however, I mean, Derek Carr looks like an absolute weapon for this Raiders team. 26 for 43 through the air, 386 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Peyton Barber looked really dynamic on the ground, over 100 rushing yards and a touchdown. Kenyon Drake was really fantastic too. I thought he did a lot of different things for that team. I mean, he only averaged 3 yards per carry on the ground, 24 yards, but he also, contributed a little bit as a pass catcher, 3 catches for 33 yards. But the reason that the Raiders were able to win is because of Bryan Edwards and because of Darren Waller, and also Hunter Renfrow, too, as well as Henry Ruggs. All 4 of those guys really contributed, did their damage against either with Xavier Howard, Byron Jones, Nick Needham. They were able to really be a really solid Dolphins secondary. And defensively, I really enjoyed what I saw from this Raiders defense. And I thought that in the secondary, they were much stronger than they have been in years past. Not only is Casey Hayward having a really solid season to open the season up, but I thought Jonathan Abram looked really strong at safety, and especially Trayvon Mullen at quarterback. He kept with those Dolphins wide receivers, especially on those deeper routes. I thought he played very, very well. And then, I mean, we saw what those pass rushers were able to do for this Raiders team. Maxx Crosby getting after it. He was really able to pressure the football a lot. And I thought they were able to do a lot of damage on that defensive line, especially in short yardage situations. They were really able to stuff this Dolphins defense. So overall, I thought the Miami Dolphins did a terrible job offensively. They did have some good receivers at times and running backs at times. And Jacoby Brissett had a few plays where it was like, wow, Jacoby Brissett, wow, this is really fantastic. But at the same time, the Dolphins offensive line needs to improve. And without the Dolphins offensive line improving, I don't see this Dolphins team winning any games this year, really, to be honest. Sure, I mean, they're going to win games, but because of their defense, because they do have skilled players, but the offensive line's really what's keeping them back at this point. It's hurting everything. It's hurting their offense. It's making sure their defense is on the field 24/7. And at the end of the day, this defense kept them in this game, but the offensive line has got to be better. They've got to be better if the Dolphins really want a chance of winning. The Raiders, they moved to 3-0. They're tied for the lead in that division with Broncos also at 3-0, Chargers at 2-1, and the Chiefs at 1-2. So it'll be interesting to see how this ends up moving forward for this Raiders team to start the season. And with that said, that's pretty much going to end the video for today. Did you agree with my analysis? Why or why not? Leave your comments and thoughts in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Also, if you're new around here, please drop a like and a sub on today's video. I'd really appreciate that. And with that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, see ya.